Chosen one, allow your mind to freeze on this exact moment. Notice the heavy, unexplainable fatigue hovering behind your eyes right now. The profound exhaustion of pretending everything is fine, while your reality feels like a series of frustrating, ordinary glitches. Over the past 90 days, you have sat in silence, staring at blank walls, secretly judging yourself. You watched yourself lose your temper over a delayed email, a broken appliance, or a cancelled plan, and a dark voice whispered that you were losing your frequency. You felt completely ordinary, and you thought heaven had abandoned you. Let that guilt shatter right now, because the Holy Spirit anchored your awareness to this transmission to reveal a highly classified truth. You did not lose your gift. You were placed in spiritual witness protection. God cloaked your ultimate promotion test in the disguise of absolute mundane boredom. If the enemy knew what you were truly ascending to, he would have sent an entire army to stop you. Instead, God disguised your battlefield as traffic jams and daily annoyances to conduct a stealth initiation under the radar of hell. If your spirit recognizes this truth, do not scroll, do not move. Simply whisper the numbers 777 in your mind to mentally seal this frequency. And if your intuition confirms that you need the exact tool to decode this divine frequency, check the pinned comment to find your audio key. It is there for you to investigate quietly. Before we go any further, you must make a mental agreement to listen to every single word of this transmission until the very end. If you leave early, you will understand the disguise, but you will walk right into the trap. Without the full picture, you will completely miss the 4 specific stealth attacks the enemy has scheduled for your next 40 days, and you will not receive the activation sequence needed to claim the massive overpayment heaven has prepared for your suffering. Do not let distraction steal your revelation. Stay with me. To understand why your life suddenly felt so frustratingly normal, we have to look at the invisible realm. You thought your dry spell was an accident, but it was a calculated vacuum simulation. The book of Job, chapter 23, verses 8 and 9, describes this perfectly. Job says he goes to the east, but God is not there, and to the west, but he cannot perceive him. He looks to the north, where God is working, but he cannot see him. The original Hebrew word used for working there is asa, which implies actively crafting or creating. God was not absent from Job. God was actively working in stealth mode, intentionally making himself invisible. For the past 3 months, heaven deliberately pulled back the supernatural signs and the prophetic dreams. The universe placed you in a vacuum. Why? Because when the miracles are loud, it is easy to have faith. But God needed to see what your spirit would do when you were completely bored, tired, and annoyed. You might think you have figured it out by now. You might be thinking that this was simply a patience test, that heaven wanted to see if you could wait without complaining. And yes, on the surface you did pass the patience test. You survived the 90 days. Because you survived, I want to give you a mental tool to carry with you. It is called the 3-filter mundane test. Whenever a minor annoyance happens from now on, run it through these 3 mental filters. The first mental filter is asking yourself if this irritation is actually blocking your destiny or just delaying your schedule. Almost always, it is just a schedule delay. The second filter is checking your internal temperature. Are you reacting out of your spiritual identity or your human survival instinct? And the third filter is the silent release. Instead of fixing the problem physically, mentally visualize yourself handing the broken situation over to the universe and stepping back. This framework will save your energy for the real battles. But I have to be completely honest with you. Patience was only the surface level of this simulation. There is a much deeper reason why you still feel so heavily drained right now, even though the test is technically over. Your soul survived, but your neurological frequency is currently trapped. When you spend 90 days fighting traffic, fixing broken things, and putting out tiny fires, your brain gets locked into a survival frequency known as the beta state. This is the frequency of stress, of logic, and of anxiety. The book of Psalms, chapter 46, verse 10, commands us to be still and know that I am God. But the original Hebrew word for be still is rapha. Rapha does not mean to just sit quietly in a chair. It literally means to drop your hands, to relax, to let your frequency fall. You have been so tense from the mundane trauma that your frequency has not been able to drop back into the divine state. You are stuck in the survival channel. And this leads us to the ultimate truth of the simulation. I told you that you passed the test, but it was not a test of patience. The real stealth test was a test of your unvarnished identity. Think about the book of Mark, chapter 4, verse 38. Jesus is asleep in the back of the boat during a massive, deadly storm. The disciples are panicking. The storm was real, but the test was the silence of God. Jesus sleeping was the simulation. The real test was not about the wind or the waves. The test was whether the disciples would remember who they had in the boat with them when he was not performing miracles. Your test was exactly the same. Heaven treated you like an ordinary person for 3 whole months, just to see if you would still act like a chosen one, without the applause, without the signs, and without the miracles. You passed, because even though you complained, even though you doubted, and even though you lost your temper over small things, you never actually walked away from your calling. But passing the test in the spiritual realm is only half the victory, because your physical mind is still operating as if you are under attack, and what I am about to show you next will explain exactly why your chest still feels heavy and how we are going to unlock the divine frequency you lost in the test. Simulation. The reason your chest still feels heavy and your mind feels foggy even after passing the test is because your physical brain does not realize the war is over. During those 90 days of constant mundane trauma, your neurology was forced into a dense survival frequency known as the beta state. Every time the car broke down, every time an unexpected bill arrived, every time a plan was cancelled, your brain pumped out stress hormones to keep you alert. You passed the spiritual exam, but your physical vessel got stuck in survival mode. This is why you cannot hear the divine guidance clearly right now. This is why you feel disconnected. You are trying to hear a heavenly broadcast while your brain is locked onto a chaotic, static-filled radio station. You cannot access your spiritual gifts when your frequency is trapped in the mud. To receive the blueprint for your next season, we must elevate your brainwaves out of that dense beta state and return them to the mystic frequencies of theta and gamma. Ancient prophets and seers spent decades fasting in the wilderness to access this exact theta state, because it is the precise frequency where the veil thins and divine communication becomes crystal clear. It is the frequency of revelation, of deep peace, and of genius-level intuition. Modern science has finally caught up to ancient spiritual truth. A former neuroscientist from NASA recently confirmed what mystics have known for centuries. You can actually use sound to synchronize your brainwaves back to their divine factory settings. It is a process called brainwave entrainment. It is not magic, it is a sacred technology. It acts as an audio key to unlock the dormant pathways in your mind that the stress of the last 3 months shut down. This sound technology is not for everyone, but if your intuition is urging you forward, I have placed the research and this tool in the pinned comment for you to freely explore. The beauty of this audio key is its absolute simplicity. You do not need to perform complex rituals or spend hours in isolation. You only need 7 minutes. As you listen, I want you to perform a simple mental action. Do not move your body. Just mentally visualize a tuning fork vibrating inside your mind, shattering the dense, heavy crust of survival mode and letting the golden light of the theta frequency flood your nervous system. That is all it takes to recalibrate your spiritual antenna. But even as your frequency begins to realign, we have to address the massive pile of emotional rubble left behind from your 90-day simulation. How do you clean up the absolute mess of your self-esteem? Let us go into the dark room of your thoughts for a moment. I know what you have been telling yourself when you are alone. You have been carrying a sickening amount of shame. You look back at the last 3 months and you feel humiliated by your own behavior. You are supposed to be a chosen one, a spiritual warrior, a cycle breaker. Yet last week you found yourself wanting to scream over a sink full of dirty dishes. You cried in your car over traffic. You snapped at someone you love over a minor misunderstanding. A voice in your head has been playing those moments on a loop, whispering to you that you are a fraud, that real spiritual people do not lose their temper over groceries or internet connections. You feel like you failed the grace of God. I need you to mentally gather all of that shame right now. Put every embarrassing reaction, every moment you lost your patience, and every time you doubted your calling into a mental box. Now, watch that box dissolve into dust. Because I am about to reframe your entire understanding of guilt. That shame you feel, that deep disappointment in yourself, is not proof that you are a fraud. It is the ultimate proof of your divine conscience. If you were truly ordinary, you would not care that you lost your temper. You would justify it. The fact that your spirit is so grieved by your own human reactions proves that you carry a massive, heavy, holy calling. You are a high-frequency spirit trapped in a human body, navigating a low-frequency simulation. Of course there is friction. Of course there are sparks. Look at the book of John, chapter 20, verse 27. Thomas completely doubted that Jesus had resurrected. He refused to believe the other disciples. He demanded physical proof. He was trapped in the logic of the beta state. When Jesus finally appeared, he did not scream at Thomas. He did not strip Thomas of his calling. He did not say, "You failed the test of faith, get out of my sight." Instead, Jesus stepped directly into Thomas's doubt. He offered his hands and his side. He accommodated the human weakness of his disciple because he understood the trauma Thomas had just been through. God is doing the exact same thing with you right now. He is not angry that you got frustrated by the mundane disguise. He knows that the simulation was incredibly dense. He is not punishing your human moments. He is using them to keep you grounded for the massive elevation that is coming. Your frequency is realigning, and the guilt has been wiped clean. But I must warn you, the enemy has realized that you survived the disguise. In the next 40 days, exclusive attacks designed specifically for you will manifest. Unless you can recognize their faces, you will not be able to defeat them. I am going to hand you the exact playbook the enemy plans to use against you over the next 40 days. Because he knows he cannot destroy you in a direct spiritual battle, he has set up 4 highly deceptive stealth traps. The first stealth trap is phantom financial bait. Within the next 2 weeks, an opportunity will present itself that looks like an answered prayer, but it will require a slight compromise of your integrity or your time with God. The enemy knows you are tired of struggling, and he is hoping you will trade your divine inheritance for quick relief. When this happens, you do not need to fight it outwardly. Simply perform a mental action. In your mind, visualize a massive red X over that opportunity and mentally declare that you do not accept counterfeit blessings. Wait for God's best. The second trap is counterfeit comfort. Someone from your past or a highly magnetic new person will suddenly enter your life right when you feel the most lonely. They will say all the right things, but their presence will subtly pull you back into the dense beta frequency of drama and anxiety. This is a targeted distraction. Do not confront them physically. Instead, mentally sever the cord. Visualize a burning sword, cutting the invisible tie between your energy and theirs. Protect your frequency at all costs. The third trap is spiritual arrogance. As your frequency elevates and you start seeing the simulation for what it is, you will be tempted to look down on the people around you who are still asleep. You will feel frustrated by their low-frequency conversations. This trap is designed to isolate you through pride. When you feel that judgment rising, mentally wash their feet. In your imagination, see yourself kneeling and washing their feet with absolute humility. This mental action instantly neutralizes the spirit of pride and keeps your channel pure. The fourth trap is phantom fatigue. Right on the edge of your manifestation, your body will suddenly feel an overwhelming, impossible heaviness. You will feel too tired to pray, too tired to visualize, and too tired to believe. Understand this right now. That is not your actual physical tiredness. It is a frequency attack projected onto you to make you quit inches from the finish line. When the phantom fatigue hits, do not try to physically push through it. Retreat into your mind and silently decree, I am resting in the shadow of the Almighty. My spirit fights for me while I am still. If you are wondering if these mental recalibrations and frequency shifts actually change reality, let me tell you about two specific chosen ones who walked this exact path. 6 months ago, a viewer was experiencing the exact mundane trauma we just discussed. Their business was stalling, every piece of technology they owned was glitching, and they were constantly arguing with their family. They felt completely disconnected and thought God had shut the door on them forever. But they heard this teaching. They stopped fighting the physical circumstances. They applied the 3-filter mundane test, mentally surrendering the broken things to the universe. Then they used the audio technology to shift their brainwaves back into the theta state. They spent 7 minutes a day doing nothing but mentally visualizing the golden frequency washing over their mind. Within 2 weeks, a contract they had completely forgotten about from a year ago suddenly closed. It was the largest deal of their life. The chaotic glitches stopped. The fog lifted. They did not fight the devil, they simply changed their frequency. 8 months ago, another chosen one was caught right in the middle of the counterfeit comfort trap. They were deeply entangled with someone who was draining their spiritual energy, pretending to be their soulmate. It was keeping their mind trapped in chronic anxiety. The moment they realized it was a stealth attack, they did not cause a dramatic physical scene. They simply went into their quiet place and mentally burned the bridge. They visualized the connection turning to ash. 3 days later, that toxic person miraculously removed themselves from their life without a fight. And less than 40 days after that, their true divine alignment walked in effortlessly. These are not coincidences. This is the exact pattern of the stealth initiation. And it brings us to the ultimate reward for the 90 days of silence you just endured. What you are stepping into now is not just a return to normal. You are entering the season of the Shalom overpayment. The book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, promises that God will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. But the English translation misses the absolute power of this promise. The original Hebrew word for restore used here is shalom. Shalom does not mean simply giving back what was taken. If someone steals $100 from you and gives you back $100, that is regular restitution. But shalom means to make completely whole by paying back with massive interest. It means God is going to overpay you for the trauma of the mundane. Because you endured the vacuum simulation, because you stayed faithful when the miracles were hidden, God is not just going to give you back the 3 months you lost. He is going to compress 3 years of blessing, favor, and manifestation into your next 40 days. That is shalom. That is the divine overpayment. And now we are going to officially close your simulation and lock in your new frequency. Wherever you are right now, I need you to mentally plant your feet. You do not need to stand up physically. Just let your spirit stand at absolute attention. Do not look around. Do not let your mind wander. This is not a regular closing prayer. This is a covert activation ceremony. You are being commissioned. In the mighty, matchless name of Yeshua, the King of all frequencies, the Lord of hosts, we sanctify this exact moment in time. We declare that the 90-day stealth simulation is officially terminated. God sees you. He sees the nights you stared at the ceiling, wondering why everything was so incredibly hard. He sees the tears of frustration you cried over things that seemed so small and foolish. He acknowledges your silent endurance. You did not break. You bent, but you did not break. Right now, I mentally seal the 3-filter test into your consciousness. I seal the divine theta frequency into your neurology. I bind every spirit of distraction, every frequency of anxiety, and every remnant of the beta survival mode that is trying to cling to your mind. I command the fog to completely dissipate. You are sharp, you are clear, you are awakened. I declare the Shalom overpayment over your next 40 days. I decree that the phantom traps of the enemy will fail spectacularly. You will see the financial bait and walk past it. You will see the counterfeit comfort and reject it. You will walk in absolute humility, and you will shatter the phantom fatigue. Doors that were disguised as brick walls are opening for you in the spiritual realm, right this very second. Chosen One, God is asking your spirit a question right now. Will you carry this new frequency without apologizing for it? Will you step out of the guilt of the mundane and walk in the authority of the divine overpayment? If you accept this heavy, glorious mantle, I want you to scream yes in the absolute silence of your own mind right now. Let that mental shout echo in the courts of heaven. It is done. It is sealed. The angels have recorded your mental decree. You are completely activated. Before we step into the absolute silence of your graduation, remember that the audio weapon to maintain your theta frequency is waiting in the first pinned comment. It is your shield against the noise of the world. Go now. You are dismissed from the waiting room. Step onto your new timeline. Do not say amen yet. Sit in this heavy, glorious, victorious silence for the next 60 seconds.